Was I elated watching a gorilla get cut in half by a chainsaw by Economy of all people? Abso-fucking-lutely I was.
Don't you love it when technology just doesn't work, Brandon? Isn't it just your favorite thing in the world?
It's so... I'm so annoyed right now, Carson. Don't even get me started.
I'm
so annoyed.
So off camera, you've just missed about 30 minutes of us,
Probably more than that.
Yeah, just having a heated screaming match at each other. Your mic's not working. No, your mic's not working. Your headset's off. All to find out that the previous recording website that we were on, just for whatever reason, said no today and gave up on life.
Yep.
So thank you to that streaming website. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the old streaming website.
Hopefully for only this week. I'm praying that it is only for this week, because I'm going to be honest here, because I never want to be sponsored by them anyway. I hate StreamYard. It sucks.
Oh my god. It's not that it just sucks. It's a downgrade in every sense. And then if you want to pay for the full version, it's $700 something a year. And it's not like you get a lot with this. It's bad. It's really bad. But I think that's enough about ranting.
Yeah, no, I'm so angry.
Platform.
It is. We were supposed to start this recording like an hour ago, and it is almost 9 o'clock at night.
I love life. Let's talk about some games really quickly, just because I know some things came out this weekend, and so, there's one I'm extremely excited about.
Oh yeah, there's a few things that I'm pretty excited about, because I'll give the setup for this, because I know Carson doesn't know all that much about what this whole event is. He just knows
enough,
about
but
the
you give the preface.
So, if you did not know, this week is Gamescom. Specifically, it started yesterday with Opening Night Live, hosted by Jeff Keighley. Jeff Keighley is best known for the Game Awards. He has run the Game Awards since, I believe, the first year was 2014. 2014 or 2015. It used to be hosted on Spike TV, actually. Like, the Game Awards have gone through a lot of iterations. It is one of my favorite gaming events ever. I've been watching it for, God, nearly as long as it's existed. And so Jeff Keighley, who's a big figure in the gaming industry, runs a bunch of other things. He doesn't necessarily run Gamescom. Gamescom is run by a German company, and Jeff Keighley isn't. But what he does run is the opening night live of Gamescom. Now, right. Gamescom is mainly a place for exhibitors. It's the biggest gaming conference. It's what E3 used to be. And so right now in Germany, there's like 500,000 people playing video games, just like meeting with vendors, things like that. And Opening Night Live is the thing that Jeff Keighley hosts, where they do the big announcement portion. Now, one important thing to note is this is not the Game Awards. This is not Summer Game Fest. This is more of a, hey, we have some cool games that you mostly already know about that are coming out. That's why a lot of this was Call of Duty, Resident Evil, things that you already knew about. We don't typically get a bunch of big new game announcements with Opening Night Live.
Well,
this year
we had one specifically.
Well, so this year it was a little bit more. Jeff Keighley said it himself, like, this was the biggest Opening Night Live they've ever had, and it definitely was. It's still, again, nowhere near the scale of his other events, but it's still pretty cool. It was about 2 hours, and that's kind of the preface for where all of this information came from. I know there's one that me and Carson are both equally excited for. One thing that I'm excited for that I know Carson probably doesn't care as much about is they announced the Sekiro anime. I've played a little bit of Sekiro. It's a Souls-like game. I think it came out in 2016, if I remember correctly. And it looks amazing. It's exclusively on Crunchyroll. I think it's the video game studio who's producing it, and the voice actors are voicing the characters. So that's actually really neat. I am going to be reacting to that on the short form platforms when it comes out, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah.
But that was a big one for me. Another one that, Carson, I'll let you speak on a little bit as well, if you have anything to say, was they gave the Fallout Season 2 trailer for New Vegas.
Yeah. Well, that was one that I know I got like really excited about, and I was also I'm not surprised that they released it there, but also like, I am slightly surprised because it is, even though Fallout is a game, it's based on a game, whatever, this, that. It's a television show. This is the television show. This isn't like a
Yeah.
new game, but from the bits of the trailer that I saw, and I don't like really watching trailers anymore. I- It's a rarity that I
Yeah, I've
will.
kind of gotten fed up with trailers at this point. I'm right there with you.
And so I think I only watched it because it was just in the thing, which that's fine.
Mhm.
It's okay. It's okay that I watch it once. I'm not gonna, whatever. The sets themselves look really cool. What they're showing us is really cool. And Fallout Season 1 was a very well done, well put together show. This trailer did everything right, hit every beat that I wanted it to hit. And I thought it did a pretty dang good job bringing most, like, okay, we haven't seen the whole show yet, but from what I'm seeing, it's doing a
Yeah.
pretty darn good job bringing the actual atmosphere of New Vegas to life.
Yeah, no, I agree. I've never played Fallout New Vegas. I'm not the biggest Fallout video game player. I've played some 4, I've played some 76. But they're not like, it's not that they're my type of games. You already know I'm a very casual gamer.
Sure.
My some of my most played games are like Satisfactory, Factorio, Balloon Tower Defense 6,
Yeah.
like strategy games like that.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely very interested to see, because I know New Vegas is like the best Fallout game according to Fallout fans.
I think,
And I've
yeah.
heard
Yeah.
that this, and correct me if you've heard something different, but from what I've heard, this season, and I don't know if last season was as well, is canon in the video game world. Like it's all connected, which is
I
interesting.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe I heard that. There was one on here that I saw that I was like, okay, it actually kind of looks pretty cool. And it's only because I'm a big D&D nut. I'm not very secretive about that. I have multiple different sets of dice, probably too many for my own, uh, too many for my own, for my own self.
Yeah.
But I did start kind of getting into Warhammer a little bit. Not
Okay. Yeah.
not like so much on the actual game scale. Like I followed the game a little bit after I started playing D&D just because I was curious to see the differences, this, that, whatever. But I actually got into the most recent Warhammer game. Like I actually bought it and
Space Marine 2.
I started playing Space Marine 2. And then when the trailer popped up for the new for the new game, I'm trying to look to see exactly what it's called so I don't get it wrong, because I desperately don't want to get
Well,
this wrong.
so I think I know what you're going to say. And this is something that is I love. If there
Warhammer
is
40
one
has.
world that I wish I could throw myself into more if I had more time, it would be the Warhammer world. Because I
Yeah.
feel like with the books, the sheer volume of video games, they have the tabletop game that I have played before. I've played Strike Team and Full Blown Battles before. Very expensive hobby.
Yeah.
It's why I'm not as into it.
Yeah. Well,
Um but the one game that I have played is the Total War Warhammer series, which is basically just the miniature game on a computer screen. You're literally just
sure.
controlling armies in battling,
Sure.
which seems very reminiscent of what this game is, but a little bit more real-time strategy as opposed to a slower strategy
Sure.
style.
Yeah. No, there's just there's something about Warhammer in and of itself that I have like a constant draw to. Like just recently, even too, like even in my feeds, like I'm getting a lot of stuff. I don't know. It's cool. It looks cool. The trailer looked pretty cool. We'll have to see, what that game has to offer coming in the future. I didn't see. Is it okay? Yeah, it's coming to PC. It's a PC exclusive.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was yet or not. I'm pretty sure isn't most Warhammer stuff exclusive to PC. I think it's just like
so
a handful of other stuff.
yeah, those types of strategy games that this is exclusive to
Gotcha.
PC just because it's hard to do strategy on a controller. I
Gotcha.
do know that there are a lot more, like Civilization, for instance, is a
Yes.
very PC focused game that has
Yes.
started to come to more consoles because they're
Yeah.
finding like weird ways around it. They're not the best controlled, but they're there for people. This is one that I don't know if I'll check out, but like I said, if there was one world I wish I could throw myself into more, it would be Warhammer. And if I ever do quit my job to do this full time, like we're gonna start up a Warhammer channel just for shits and giggles.
Yeah, I mean, you already mentioned Resident Evil, and it's like some of the other games.
Yes.
Talking about one that pissed me off, and I know I've already ranted about this, but I'm gonna say this live here on the podcast again.
Okay.
Fuck Black Ops 7.
Okay, yeah. That's what I assumed you were gonna.
I hate the fact that we're getting another Black Ops game the year after we got Black Ops 6. Now, granted, I didn't spend a dime on Black Ops 6. It came to Xbox for free. So I was able to just play it, and I'm still able to play it now. It's still a free game for Xbox players. They haven't started charging people for it yet. I don't know.
Well,
Black Ops 7.
it's for Xbox Game Pass, you mean,
Yes,
right?
for Game Pass. I should be more specific.
Yeah, I'm making sure that we're being very specific. It's not free to play.
No.
It's just included in Game
Yes,
Pass.
it's
Yes.
included in Game Pass, and I've been a Game Pass member for a long time now. And so it's been free to me for a while. It's not like this is anything.
You're not
It's not
paying
like
extra. Yeah.
I'm not paying anything extra for it. That being said, I'm still pissed off that Black Ops 7 is coming out because of how soon it was released. Holy fucking shit. Can we just honk the brakes? Honk
Welcome to
honk
Call
the
of
brakes.
Duty.
Step on the brakes when it comes to
That's
Call
the
of
thing.
Duty.
That is just Call of Duty. Like I get it. I understand your anger. This has been the way that Call of Duty has functioned for basically all of its existence. Like I
I
don't think that there's been
understand.
a single time where this hasn't been the case.
Well, and I guess it's jokes on me for continuing to buy their property and then complain about it, because over the years, here's the thing: I have a really close friend who buys all the Call of Duty games. Granted, he's really good at them; he loves them, but he loves playing them. So if that's what he wants to
Mhm.
spend his money on, I get that. I find it very hard each year to want to purchase that because I don't have a need to play every single new release. It's like all like the sports games or even WWE, and I'm a hypocrite for that because I just bought 2K25 after getting 2K24 for free. You know, I like to kind of make it a cardinal rule of if I'm going to get a game like that where it's constantly releasing and there's always something new, every 2 years I would get the copy, because at least by that point, yes, the graphics will also have advanced. This will advance. The only like rarity would be, oh, there's a brand new game mechanic or addition that makes this game more valuable. That's the only reason I would get it. But unfortunately, Call of Duty has been the same game for about, I don't know. I think the same game mechanics in all their games for the past 5 years now. Maybe
So
ever since Warzone, they've all been the same mechanics.
did you hear the like I guess new twist with this one that they're
I
implementing that
I
make things a little bit
I tried not to. Please elude me.
so I don't know if this is really gonna make this any better for you, but apparently they're implementing it to where the story mode is now 4-player co-op. So everything that you do, both zombies mode, multiplayer, everything can be done like seamlessly with the same crew. So you can have those four people load into the game, and then you want to play the story mode, you play the story mode. Then you back out, and then those 4 people are still there, and you can switch to zombies or you can switch to the multiplayer like seamlessly without having to everyone drop and come back in, because they've already done play tests of this. There's been some content creators that I've watched that got to go see this game in person. That was one of the big things that they talked about that actually was pretty cool for them.
Well, then
I don't know if that'll bring you back
well,
necessarily, but
I don't know if it does. And here's what I will say. Call of Duty has always been hit or miss with their stories. They're not the most god awful stories ever. I promise you there's worse game stories. But
yeah.
Modern Warfare 3, or MW3, I think is technically what the term is, the one that came out in 2023, was a specific game that was basically DLC to MW2, which came out the year prior. That story was buttons. it was so bad, and it was unplayable at times just to how bad it was. It was just boring and dull. So I think you get where I'm going with this. Black Ops 7 has to have a good story to pull that off. So I hope that they have a good story to pull it off. The only really good Black Ops story I think I've ever played was Black Ops 2 way back in like 2010, 12. I don't remember when Black Ops 2 actually came out, but it was a long, long time ago. And that's the only game I've actually played through and went, that was great. Genius. If they can give me another story like that, perfect. I'm sold on the co-op. Otherwise, it's not really worth it to me. Because Elden Ring also just tried the co-op game. It's a little different because it's not based into the story exactly. But the whole new Elden Ring game is completely based around multiplayer. And it kind of sounds like they're doing the same thing with Call of Duty, just not to the same extreme. I don't know. Look, I could complain about this for a while and give my gripes about Call of Duty. But there's one game property.
Well, so before you get into that, because I want to end with that, because that's going to have a little bit of back and forth.
Yeah, I know.
There's one other game that I've talked about on the podcast before that I know you have zero care for, but I'm still going to bring it up. And that is Silksong, Hollow Knight Silksong.
Oh, Hollow Knight.
So,
yeah.
It was very funny because they opened up the showcase. Like, one of the first things out of Jeff's mouth was, we are not getting Silksong at this showcase. However, it is playable on the show floor with a demo. And they announced officially, not only is it guaranteed to be coming this year, there is a direct coming out. So, breaking the fourth wall a little bit. I am going to be at Anime NYC when this releases. We are recording this on Wednesday, August 20th. I want to specifically timestamp this because when this comes out, we will already know the release date of this game, because tomorrow, as of recording this, is the direct where they are going to announce the release date. They confirmed that in a blog post, and Jeff confirmed it at the showcase. Now, I want to make this interesting. I did not think about this before the podcast. This was something I came up with while I was zoning Carson out. I am going to put, I want to figure this out. I am so confident that the game is going to shadow drop on Thursday, as in they are going to release the game tomorrow as of recording this, that I'm willing to do something very stupid during the next podcast recording. I don't know what that is yet, but I am so confident that they are going to release it that day, as in tomorrow, that I will do something stupid. Carson, what should I do what should I do? Because I'm willing to do something.
$5.
I'm very confident.
$5 says you're wrong.
Just $5? That seems a little too easy.
You give me $5.
That seems a little too easy. I was thinking like dress up like a girl or something. I don't know. Like, what are we?
You're really going out there swinging for the no. Shave part of your eyebrow. No, absolutely. You have work. I regret even saying that.
If I did not work in a very, very professional environment, corporate job, I would. I did say I was willing to go crazy, but I did specify that it had to be for the podcast. Unfortunately, it affects my real life a little bit more than I would like it to. As someone who has had a shaved eyebrow before, unintentionally.
What can you do? Oh, no, I'm not going to make you do it. Yeah, I might. I don't know what it is, and we'll figure it out. It's going to involve our Supreme Leader, Koi Jandro, though.
Is it?
Maybe you tweet to Koi directly.
Oh, I have no fear in doing that.
You have no fear.
I already drop comments in his comment section all the time. I'm not afraid to. Now, okay, I'll say this. This is the deal that I will make. We will determine this off the podcast. You will find out when the next recording happens. If I am wrong, I will dress up as something. Either a clown, a girl, whatever it is, I will dress up as something very weird for the next podcast. If tomorrow, as of recording this, again, by the time that you are watching this, we will already know the answer. So I know this is a little weird. It's just because of the time of recording, but I will dress up as something weird for the next podcast, to be determined, only if I am wrong, because I am that confident.
I also want to point out really quickly, I'm speaking to the audience. I take no responsibility for his actions, and he digs his own holes. Great. Now
Correct. I do dig my own holes. Anyways, I'm very excited. I love Hollow Knight, so I'm very excited for, even if it doesn't shadow drop, I am
Sure.
very excited. But Carson,
Say it. Say the name.
released a trailer. This was a shocker. Like this actually was surprising to me. They're making a Batman Lego game, which
Yep.
is not new. They've already made. I've played all of them. I've
Yes.
beaten all of them. I've
Yes.
beaten almost every single Lego game to ever come out. I think there's like 2 or 3 that I haven't like completely beaten.
Sure.
But I've at least played all of the Lego games. I've probably beat the Lego Star Wars games all the way through, like, I kid you not, like 20 times. Like, I
Sure.
love the Telltale, like, not Telltale, sorry, the TT Lego games. I love them.
Right.
So finding out that they're making not only a Lego Batman game, but a Lego Batman game that is an open world, starts from the beginning of Bruce Wayne and goes all the way through his entire journey.
Yeah.
Like, the reason why I'm so excited for that is because I played the Lego Skywalker Saga, which was all of the movies put
Yes.
into a single video game. That was a long video. Like, we're talking a lot of hours. We're not
There was a
talking like
lot.
the original Lego games that you can beat in like 15, 20 hours. No, we're talking like a good chunk of video game. That means that if they put the same love and care into this, which it kind of seems like they are,
Right.
we're talking like, could be like a 40-hour Batman video game in Legos or longer, not including side missions, extra content.
Right.
I've heard that your hub world is a fully customizable bat cave.
Yep.
Like, the
Well,
combat
and
system is very Arkham's coded, which
yes.
is dope.
Yes. My only confusion, and it could be a confusion turned into a complaint, I don't really know, is what type of story is this? Is this its brand, like completely standalone own story, or is it taking you through the various different movies of Batman?
So, from what they said, and I haven't read all of the press release yet, but from what they've said that I have read is it's going to incorporate elements of every Batman, but it is going to be a unique blend in the sense of, as we already saw in the trailer, we saw some iconic Bane lines. We saw a lot of iconic Batman moments throughout his
Sure.
career, but there's also going to be unique moments and interesting twists on things that we already know. I don't
Right.
think you're going to load it up like you do. So this is what I'll say. I think you're going to get a lot of elements from all the Batman movies, but I don't think this is going to be like the original Star Wars games where you load up, or even Skywalker Saga, where you load up, you select what movie you want to be in, and then you're in that movie. I don't think
Sure.
that's what this is going to be. I think
Right.
this is going to be, you start the game as young Bruce Wayne, and then you just go through, and as you go through, you meet interesting villains and incorporate those aspects from both the movie. Because they said this is movies, comic book, video game, and TV. Like, they're taking
Yeah.
all Batman and putting it into
Well,
this.
and
Because
honestly,
the title is like
yeah.
Batman: The Dark Knight Legacy.
Yeah. Well, and that honestly makes me feel a little bit better, because here's the thing that I've thought about. Unless they were doing, okay, when they released the Skywalker Saga, I was so confident that the next big project they would have worked on would have been a Harry Potter project, not Batman.
I think that's what's next. I think that they are going back through their repertoire of all the games that they've had, because they already released the Marvel equivalent. In fact, the Marvel equivalent came out, well, I guess not equivalent, but the big reinvented Marvel game came out before the Skywalker Saga. Then the Skywalker Saga came out, and now we're getting Batman. I'm pretty sure Harry Potter is next.
Harry
I think the
Potter,
only reason
Indiana
they didn't do
Jones.
Yeah, Indiana Jones would be a big one. I think the only reason why they went to Batman is because we just got Indiana Jones video game with the Great Circle DLC coming
Sure.
out next year,
Right.
and Hogwarts Legacy only recently came out. So you
Yeah.
want to do something that isn't in the limelight. The only Batman game that we've gotten recently was the Batman VR game.
Yeah. Well, that's an Arkham-based game, and everybody remembers
Correct.
what happened with the last Batman Arkham game, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Everybody knows that horror story.
Yeah, yeah. I thought you were talking about the last of the Arkham games, and I was like, I didn't remember people complaining about
Te-
that. But no,
Technically, that is the last of the Arkham
technically it's in the
games.
same universe. So
Technically, it's
yes,
the same
yes.
universe. I don't know. I'm really excited for it. I'm just surprised they chose Batman. Not because Batman isn't big enough or this or that. I just would have imagined if they were going to stick with like, oh, we're going to go movie by movie, make like 5 levels each. I figured Harry Potter would have easily been the next thing. Or,
And I
like we said, Indiana Jones, Lord of the Rings even.
I
Going
very
all the way
much
through The Hobbit.
anticipate that we're gonna get all of those. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if those were in the works right now. Like
Yeah.
you just mentioned another one, Lord of the Rings. These are all properties that we've gotten movie adaptations for in the
Yeah.
past, and they seem to be going back and reinventing them a little bit in this new style with more open world aspects, less linear.
Yeah.
Still linear, but like a little bit more creativity to them.
Yeah.
I really like the Skywalker Saga. I know it got like kind of mixed reviews. I love that game. I love the reinvention of it. I love the way that it plays. I think it is a phenomenal video game, personally. Again, coming from someone who loves that is my top series, probably, or at least one of my top series,
Yeah.
just because of the nostalgia I have as a kid. So I think Harry Potter, Indiana Jones, I think all of those are coming. Depending on
Sure.
licensing and things like that, I would be shocked if eventually if we didn't get those, essentially.
Well, and speaking of Skywalker, we'll wrap this up because we're quite a bit into the cold open at this point. But speaking of Skywalker Saga, it was really cool when it released. I played the crap out of that. I beat it
Mhm.
twice. I loved that game. I thought it was great. That being said, I feel like this new Batman game is going to end up the exact same way Skywalker Saga did, where it was really cool. Everybody talked about it for about a year to 2 years, and people still talk about it now. It's not like they don't. It was still really good in a big Lego game, but it will eventually just be pushed aside because
Well, that's what all
it's
the Lego games have been. That's the
yes,
thing. Like, for people like me who grew up on those games, like, I still talk about them with so much love in my heart. But in the general gaming mindset, they've always just been Lego games
well,
for
and
the most part.
but I mean it from the example of we have the Batman Arkham games. So I actually think it's at even more of a detriment than what Skywalker Saga have is because we have an open world Batman game and it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Arkham City being one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's genius. And it's close to the same mechanics, just Lego-fied. We are getting, a kind of brand new story with taking elements from various different Batmans and whatnot. But that's the unfortunate reality we live in is that we have a Batman Arkham game and that it's really, really good. And this game, whereas it's not a Batman Arkham game, it's a celebration of Batman. Basically, it's going to It's going to be sacrificed at the detriment of that. That's the best way to say it.
Mhm.
And again, I could be completely wrong. I hope I am because I do like the Lego games, but I do see that in its future. It'll have a harder time, even the Skywalker Saga did, because of the fact that we have the Arkham games.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I'm excited for it. I'm gonna play it probably on release. But I do hope that it gets more love than Skywalker Saga did. Because like I said, it felt like people were pretty low on that game for what was a really good Lego game.
Sure. Right.
But only time
Yeah.
will tell. Just like with the
Only
Silksong's Shadow Drop that
oh,
I am fingers crossed for.
well, that's tomorrow, and we're still at today. Speaking of today, we're doing a podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to episode 25 of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast. The only podcast in the world where your two favorite Nimrods talk all things nerdy. I am your host this evening, Carson, aka Juggernaut, here with my forever co-host.
Brandon, aka Parrotfish.
And today we're talking about a property that I've been wanting to rewatch for a while, and that is Peacemaker Season 1. Pretense, before we get into this, if you haven't seen Peacemaker Season 1, spoilers, we're going to get into it. Spoilers for The Suicide Squad, because I'm sure we'll point back to that at some point, but
Yeah.
really, it's been 4 years. Come on, man. But we're going to get down into it. We're going to break everything down, talk about what we liked,
Yep.
talk about what we didn't like. But before we get to that, Brandon, hey, bud.
Well, an additional preface before we get into the next segment. I do understand, again, we're recording this on a Wednesday. Literally tomorrow, the first episode of season 2 releases. So by the time that this episode releases, if you are listening to this, we understand that season 2 will have already started. We have not seen episode 1 of season 2. We will be talking about that next week with Twisted Metal, because we will not be talking about Twisted Metal's episode, what is that, 7 and 8, I believe.
7, 8, yeah.
On this podcast, even though we've been talking about it weekly, because those also drop tomorrow. So next week, I'll go ahead and get into this now, just because letting the people know, next week will be 5 episodes of Twisted Metal and probably 2 episodes of Peacemaker Season 2. That will be the topic of the episode for next week.
Yeah.
So just want to preface, we will not be talking about Twisted Metal like we typically do. We will not be talking about Peacemaker Season 2, even though both of those will have released by the time you are seeing this episode. So just an additional preface there for people to know about.
Anyway, Brandon, how we other than the 40 minutes we yelled at each other trying to get the microphone to work,
dude, I'm good. I leave for New York in less than 12 hours. I leave at literally, what is it, like probably like 6 hours. Yeah, I leave in 6 hours for New York. Yeah.
Have fun with that.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. By the time you are seeing this, it will be the last day of Anime NYC. So I would say come up and say hello, but this will have.
By that point, it's already too late.
Yeah, by that point, it's already too late. I will be making a boatload of content. I have some things planned. Some things might just happen. That will all be on the short forms.
Right.
So keep an eye
don't
out
worry.
for that.
I have content too that I'm gonna dish out. Meeting ice cream tomorrow. I'm going to dinner on Saturday. You know, that'll be nice. I got nap time. Nap time's on there. That's a big priority.
Let's just get into this.
Let's break down. Let's break down Peacemaker. Let's start with our general thoughts. Brandon, I've wanted to know for years what your thoughts on this show is, because I have had very opinionated thoughts about this show. Brandon, please give me your thoughts on Peacemaker Season 1.
So this was my first time watching Peacemaker all the way through. I'm going to be honest with you. I did not watch Peacemaker on release. Just wasn't, it's not that it wasn't something I was interested in. I didn't have access to HBO Max at the time, and I just didn't end up watching it. So that being said, I unfortunately did have quite a bit spoiled for me as to all the big plot twists, all the big happenings of this show. So that did definitely morph my experience. With that being said, though, I still had a blast. This show was still a lot of fun. I will say this suffers from a very, very similar issue to what Twisted Metal Season 1 suffered for, and that was a not great first episode. In my opinion, and you could disagree with me on this, that's fine. I was not gripped by the first episode of this. In fact, when I watched the first episode of this, I was like, God, did I already see all the best clips of this? Like, am I just going to watch like a mess like that? Am I already spoiled on the only good things that this show has to offer? And I'm happy to say that it wasn't the case. Like, I don't know what it is about episode 1s. I feel like in the olden days when you were only contracted for 1 episode and it was your pilot episode, nowadays you're contracted out for 8. So there's a lot less like I guess, care to put into your first episode, maybe. We used to
Sure.
get a lot better episode 1s, because Twisted Metal's episode 1 and Peacemaker Season 1 episode 1 was it just didn't grab me. Like, it
Sure.
was okay, like, I wasn't like, "Oh, I'm gonna die,"
But
but
it
it
didn't
wasn't
hook you
like
by any means.
it
Sure.
didn't hook me. Like, if I was a casual viewer and I wasn't as into this, I feel like I would not have been like, "Oh, I can't wait to find out what happens."
Right.
Episode 2 definitely gripped me more, and again, similar to Twisted Metal, it just kept getting better, to the point in which I just loved it more and more every single episode. Is it my favorite DC property ever? No. Is it my
No.
favorite thing that old DC released? No.
No.
Is it still really good and enjoyable? Yes. Do I recommend watching it? Yes. I think that's the highest praise that I can give it. It is definitely worth watching.
Yeah.
I think that, and I've seen this is not an original take whatsoever. I've seen this literally all over the place, but John Cena is definitely one of, if not the best wrestler turned actor that there is.
Yeah.
He is Peacemaker. He shows up to all the premieres in cosplay. He loves this character so much, and you can feel that in every second of his performance. He is just exactly what this Peacemaker needed to be. As someone who doesn't know Peacemaker from the comics, he's just not a character that I've ever read in the comics compared to maybe some other characters.
Right.
John Cena brings such a presence, such a humor, such an emotion when there is emotion in this show, that I think is just amazing. Vigilante was a big standout for me. I thought I was gonna hate him. I'm gonna be honest with you. I thought he was gonna be quippy and annoying and drive me insane. And he is quippy and he can be annoying, but he also brings a lot of funny humor, like humor that actually had me laughing. He
Sure.
brought, again, unexpected heart. I think the entire dynamic between the crew that is assembled is fantastic. I believe their relationship. I feel connected to all of them. I feel like they're all given just enough screen time, just enough heart, just enough backstory to connect with, that I don't know, I fell in love with them, and I am excited to see where we see them and how they play a role in season 2.
Sure. Giving context for myself, um, I watched the Suicide Squad in theaters. I think like
I did as
5
well.
times. I watched it in theaters 5 times. I watched it with you for your first time watching the movie. I remember that. And
Mhm.
I still feel the same about that film that I did when it released, which was I thought that film was better than Guardians 2. Granted, I think Guardians 2 is good. It's not great. I thought it was better than Guardians 2, and I think it really shot up there as far as like pretty much alongside Guardians 1 and 3. I was beyond high on the Suicide Squad. I thought it was funny. I thought it had heart. I thought it had character, and I loved it. I liked what they did with Peacemaker in that film, but he obviously was an antagonist. He didn't really have much as far as like giving character heart or whatnot. It was all
Yeah.
purely for him to play an antagonistic role. And funny enough, I mentioned this in my short form video for Peacemaker season 1. The original idea was James Gunn was planning to kill off Peacemaker in that
Mhm.
film. Like he was planned to be dead. That's it. No more Peacemaker, done. He loved working with John Cena so much that he broke his cardinal rule of bringing a character back from the dead and made the Peacemaker show. So I will also say that going into it, I loved the Suicide Squad. So I loved the idea of getting a Peacemaker show and going into it. However, because he broke the cardinal rule and he wrote the show and the show came out only, I think, 5 months after the Suicide Squad ended. So I don't know how long, like, into the process of Suicide Squad, he knew he wanted to do a Peacemaker show. I think season 1 in and of itself of Peacemaker is enjoyable. It's good. You have a lot of laughs. There's a few heart-to-heart moments, but we'll talk about why I think it's a little messy and convoluted later. But I think season 1 suffers from the idea of there wasn't an original plan. Like this wasn't connected to the Suicide Squad. They weren't planning on making this. And so it does
Yeah.
suffer a little bit in terms of if they had more time to think it through and get it out, which is why I'm much more excited for season 2, because they've had 4 years to craft this story and to craft this world.
Well, and this also suffers as well from the fact that the Suicide Squad and this technically happened during the old DC universe.
Yeah.
However, they are also canon in James Gunn's new DC universe.
Yeah.
And there is some things that are having to get retconned. Like, for instance, one thing that they've been outspoken about is early on, if not in the first episode that we'll have released on Thursday,
Yeah.
they are going to retcon the Justice League scene. Because
Right.
here's the thing. While you don't really see much of the Justice League, you do actually see Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller. If you did
Right.
not see those two, I think it'd be the easiest thing in the world to retcon. However, because you see Jason Momoa as Aquaman and Ezra Miller as the Flash, and we
Right.
already know that they are definitively not returning those characters. I mean, Jason Momoa is going to be Lobo, and I think Ezra Miller's probably never going to act again in their life.
Yeah, that's a bit. Yeah,
not going to talk about that. But
don't touch that subject.
I
But
do
I get what you're
think
saying.
I do agree with you that I definitely felt the weird continuity, and we can get into that a little bit more later. But I understand what you're talking
Yeah, but I like Peacemaker season 1. Touching on that topic a little bit though, and I know this is kind of getting into like what we think is going to happen. I kind of want to start with that a little bit, just because I'd rather talk about Peacemaker in depth before we get there, or we might even do it along the way while we're talking about this. How is Peacemaker going to connect to the new Superman movie? Because he made a cameo in Superman, so he's already canon in that universe. James Gunn said that we will get that answer. He also said that we have an answer for at the end of Peacemaker season 2, we're going to have an answer on where his universe is actually going. Because Superman didn't really give that. It gave us the origin, but it didn't really give us any direction on where they're going next. He said that Peacemaker season 2 is going to give that direction.
Yeah.
So my thought process is, and this is what I've thought about for a while, is the whole second season takes place in the multiverse. From what it seems like, it's his father's pocket dimension that he uses to store all the suits and the helmets or whatnot. Something goes awry and he opens a door to a parallel dimension that he can travel through. And from what photos in the trailers say, or videos, certain things in the trailer says, this universe, he gets everything that he wants. Basically, Harcourt's in love with him. His dad's alive, and he's actually a good person. Which actually, interesting enough, that makes me think his brother might be alive somewhere in this universe, which also will add a really cool idea. But it adds the idea of, do you think he's going to just commute universes to a completely different universe? And that's the Superman universe. That way we can keep the continuity of season 1 to a certain degree without having to just retcon. Because I don't know, it's weird just saying that we have to retcon it, unless James Gunn literally creates like a clever joke of, oh yeah, when you weren't looking, he did commute to another universe. Shh, and he just breaks the fourth wall, like some Deadpool shit or something. I don't know.
So I think that's what they're gonna do. I do. Is that what I want them to do? No. The reason why is because if we do commute to another universe, I have a feeling that he's not just gonna uproot all of the ensemble cast into that universe, which means we're losing that entire dynamic that we built over this show. Over
Sure.
the 8 episodes that we got to spend with them, and that
Sure.
was one of my favorite parts about Peacemaker,
Yeah.
was watching them go from hating each other to tolerating each other to actually considering each other friends and caring about each other. And
Yeah.
Peacemaker waiting days in the hospital to look over his friend. Like that is what I connected with most in this show. And if he just commutes universes, he's gonna have to leave all that behind, unless all of them also uproot and come over
Well,
here.
yeah. Well,
I don't see
that's in the trailer though. Like they even say in the trailer, like, "Oh, we got to go get him." Like,
Oh, I don't. Like I said,
I didn't know if you did.
I don't even think I've seen the full trailer, because I try to avoid trailers so much nowadays, because I've already ranted about this before. I hate the way the trailers have gone in today's day and age. So I've just started to avoid them more and more.
Sure.
I still watch mostly first trailers for things just to see, so I can have a conversation about things. But because Peacemaker, I only finished it literally a few hours ago before recording this, I didn't have time to go back and watch
Sure.
the trailer for season 2.
Right. Well, yeah, I ended up watching this one because again, I watched certain trailers, and when I mean certain, I mean like I watched like the big blockbuster trailers, mostly the stuff that is
Mhm.
shown in like movie theaters or whatnot, or this or that.
Yeah.
If I do see a trailer in theaters that's like not, it's just like it's an occasional, okay, this looks cool, whatever, but I'll never remember it, so it doesn't matter. Um, I watched the big blockbuster one, so I watched this one, but it does show in the trailer that they know that he went to a parallel universe, so somehow they're gonna know that he's in a parallel universe. They're gonna try to go get him and bring him back. So he will end up with that variation of his friends. I just don't know how. But somehow they're going to this is also where it gets messy because James Gunn has said, and I heard the reports, and he actively said himself, he wants to bring Idris Elba back as Bloodsport, but the only way to do that is to keep the continuity of the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, you
But
have
that's
to
in the
bring in an
other
alternate
universe.
universe version of Bloodsport,
Well,
which
and you could do
alternate
that.
universes are such a convenient thing. Alternate universes ultimately started because comic book writers wanted to have more creativity and allow
Yeah.
their characters to change over time and the
Yeah.
ability to retcon things without people getting as annoyed. I
Sure.
do think that like parallel universes are being overutilized nowadays to a
Sure.
degree in which they are just
Sure.
a plot device for convenience.
Mm.
I think that things like the No Way Home, for instance, that is a pretty decent use of the multiverse. That was a really good
Yes.
use of the multiverse. When you use the multiverse to go oopsie daisy, we made an oopsie whoopsie, let's go back and fix this thing because
Pixar fucked up.
whatever
Yeah.
happened,
Right.
like, I'm not as big of a fan of that. And then here's the other thing. The problem that you run into is the only other way to like retcon something is to do what Marvel has been doing, which is literally just ignore the problem. Are we ever going to see anything from the Eternals post-credit scene with God, what's his name?
Kit
The
Harington, Dane
singer.
Whitman.
Yeah, that are we ever gonna get that? Are we gonna get Blade ever paid? Like, are we gonna get like we finally got the Celestial paid off in Brave New World, so
Yeah.
maybe, but or I think the biggest one is the Kang, the Quantum Mania end credit scene.
Yeah, what do we do
Is
with
that ever
Kang? Where
gonna
do we
get
go
paid
with
off?
that? Right.
Probably not. And that
Yeah.
annoys me. Granted, I understand why that happened. I'm not gonna get like we're not gonna get into that, but there is a reason why that has had to happen. However, it is still very annoying because
Right.
that is a lot harder to retcon through a multiverse. So Marvel just goes we're gonna ignore that. Moon Knight, that's another example. Moon Knight was very much set up to another season. Oh, ignore it. It's whatever. He's never coming back. That
That's
type
an
of stuff
unfortunate one.
annoys me, but at the same time, the only alternative is the multiverse, which can also just feel the same fall flat type of retcon.
Well, and I mean, not like trying to talk about Marvel too much, especially because we're trying to talk about a DC property here.
Yeah,
But
no, yeah.
the whole point of what I'm seeing Secret Wars is going to end up being is a way for them to reset the universe. Not a hard
Mhm.
reset, but a soft reboot so that they can, start fresh with the brand new stories, but keep the characters they want to keep and whatnot. It kind of pisses me off a little bit. Look, I love Marvel. I want it to continue, but I also want it to end because they built something really good and I don't want it to go on for too long. They can keep it going. There's so many comic stories you can tell,
Yeah.
but cap it off somewhere and then just start fresh with a brand new set of characters, brand new stories. I don't even care if they recast Iron Man or Captain America. As much as I will compare them to Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr., I'm not even that mad at it because you're telling different variants, different stories, this and that, and it all works in the end. But with Peacemaker specifically, because this is where it gets a little bit more confusing, is because we don't know what we're gonna get from this parallel universe. We don't know what's happening exactly. The only other thing we know is that there is another Peacemaker in this universe that looks like John Cena. There is another variation of his friends that live in this universe. Is there another Henry Cavill Superman, or is there another? Oh God, what's his name? Who just played Superman? Oh my God, I feel so bad that I'm forgetting his
Sweat?
name. David Cornsweet, thank you. Is there another David Cornsweet Superman? Are we going to get our Batman reveal in this? Like, there's so many different varieties and different directions you can go. That's where it gets confusing, and that's why looking ahead, like, it's really hard to predict that. However, I'm still predicting that the season's going to be better than season 1 because, again, they've had 4 years to think through the plot and, improve on writing, even though the writing wasn't completely awful in this show.
Yeah,
Although we'll get to that.
well, yeah, I was gonna say we can use that as a segue because we kind of jumped right in with the season 2 discussion instead of talking about our thoughts on season 1, which is fine.
Yeah,
But
I wanted to do that.
Transitioning back, well, we kind of just go with the flow here. We're just talking. We're just two Nimrods Nimrodding it up.
If you say Nimrodding it up again, I will literally drive to your house and smack you in the face.
Well, we still have like 14 hours of heads up, so I could be in a whole nother country by the time you get here.
No, that's very fair.
So, but anyways, with season 1, just kicking it off, I think that again, the episode 1, I do think one of the reasons why it doesn't work as well is because Peacemaker is supposed to be dead. Now, we do have the end credit scene of the Suicide Squad where we see Peacemaker in the hospital, so we already know he's not dead, but it still does kind of feel like okay, this is a weird setup. The first scene that we have is the conversation between Peacemaker and the janitor, which is paid off a little later, but is kind of like a one-off, whatever, useless bit. It's to make a joke about killing minorities, and like it's
really weird, but
and that's well, because this entire show is very, very forthcoming with its political message. It does not hide at all what it wants you to take away from this whatsoever. And I don't mind that at all. But that is something that you need to know going into this, is that if you're expecting to escape the real world with this show, like you can with movies like The Suicide Squad or like even David Cornsweet's Superman, Peacemaker season 1 is not going to be one of them because it beats you over the head every single moment it can with the message it wants you to take away. And whether or not you agree with that message, just be aware of that.
It's not even really that distracting though. Like,
no, I'm not saying
I don't think it is at all.
Well, I think it's not distracting, but it is very heavy-handed. One of the main villains is they can't call him a Grand Wizard of the KKK, but he is a Grand Wizard of the KKK. His name is the White Dragon. The people wear they wear KKK hats. Like it is very clear with it what its message is, and I'm not saying it's distracting. I am just letting people know that it is not just a one-off plot thread. It is ingrained into the core of this story, because then when we find out why the butterflies are here and we get that whole speech from Goff at the end of the last episode trying to convert Peacemaker to their side, it is a whole political speech about what we're doing to this world, the unfortunate reality that we live in. And again, whether you agree with it or not, that is a core philosophy that plays throughout the entire thing. And I think this is what I'll say this. We talk about politics every so often, but only in the sense of how they play into media. And since this obviously plays into media, I do think that if you're going to have a very heavy-handed political message like this isn't a bad way to do it.
No,
because you're doing it in a very comedic show. You still have a lot of elements to latch onto if you don't like the political message. Again, not saying that was me. I'm just saying for people who do have a problem with that political message, there's still a lot going for the show to keep you engaged, even though it is a core plot line.
Well,
I mean, at the end of the day, it's still just killing aliens. You're still having funny antics. You're still having the dumbest jokes you'll ever hear in your life. Like, that is still a core principle of this show. But it is still, again, very political at the same time. Probably the most political superhero property that we've gotten that I've seen.
Well, that's not true. I do think there's more political properties out there as far as superheroes go. But I do think that Peacemaker as a character, it allows the political message to work. Because that's exactly who Peacemaker's character is, and not that him as a character. He's a charming, lovable doofus, goofball, training, master marksman, assassin, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
The entire interior monologue of Peacemaker is he does what he wants for peace, and the entire interior monologue of Chris this entire season is he, previously men, women, children didn't really care. He would kill any of them. He just wanted peace. We find out, it's because his brother died. This, that, he had a hard life with his dad growing up. This, that.
Mm.
His character specifically, and again, I don't know how it is in the comics, makes it work because that's who his character is. His internal monologue is the political message, so it runs through him and it works so well. Like that's the point. And again, he grows up in this household and with a father who's a horrible, horrible father.
Oh,
And
terrible father, terrible person. Again, like leader of the KKK of this area, like
yes,
the most despicable human being that you
yes,
can find on earth. Like
and
there is not a single redeemable
right,
quality of this man that you will ever find.
yeah. And I think that it allows all the message to be pushed through him because it's his character grows as the political message grows stronger, and that's why it works. It's not just like a political message that's just kind of like shoved in there for story purposes or this or that. No, it works because it's what your character is going through, what he's feeling, and it works as a message because you're following along the journey with your character. That being said, there are some moments in this story that I actively sit here and go, wow, why did you do that? What did you do? For instance, there's a really weird story choice moment. They're sitting in a van and they're about to go over the game plan. And Adebayo is pulling up pictures on her tablet. And randomly, there's just full picture of a
There's a cooter picture. There's a cooter picture.
Thank you for saying it. I didn't want to say it. And it's just on the device. And it makes me sit there and go, great. You made me go, why would you do that? It got a
Yeah,
reaction out of me. Why? What
I
was the
will
point beyond making the funny?
I will say that was a joke that definitely didn't work for me as much. It honestly kind of felt like I don't know how to describe it. Like it felt like such an unnecessary thing. Like we already know that she's a lesbian. We already have her wife. We're already there. We're already like cool. No problems there. Like cool, you're there. The whole thing about like oh, we're experimenting. That was like a I mean, it was the same thing with like Peacemaker and him just wanting to have sex because he's been in prison. Like that whole thing as well was also like a I get it, you're rated R, you want to have these elements. Like one of the like big first opening things in the first episode, I think it was the first episode, was him just trying to get laid because he just got out of prison. And it was like, okay.
There's too many jokes in this show that I'm not saying they don't land. They might land, but there's too many jokes in this show that make you go, "Oh god, what why? Was that even necessary?" And I know that it's James Gunn unhinged and he can do what he wants, and it might work in the context of the show. But sometimes it goes so far and beyond that it takes away from the moment and it can take you out of the moment.
Yeah.
There's also like, and that's not even just like the over like done jokes or the out there jokes. There are some jokes that ruin in this show serious moments or moments that are just like, what, why? Like when Peacemaker's crying about having just killed his dad, like that's a moment where you should sit and you should let that breathe. Instead, Vigilante
Mhm.
has to make a joke about, dude, this is a really weird moment to do your face
Do
exercises,
your
which
face exercises, yeah.
I'm not saying it got a chuckle out of me. It was a callback, but that was a horribly placed callback because that's such an impactful moment for the character.
Yeah, I think one of the best scenes in this entire show where you do actually get to sit with the emotional weight of what's happening is when Peacemaker is sitting and playing the piano. That's a
Yeah.
long scene. I think it's like 4 to 5 minute long scene, there's no joke, there's no quirky antics. It's
Yeah.
just Peacemaker in his feels, weighing the gravity of the situation he finds himself in, expressing himself through music. I
Yeah.
loved that scene. That was definitely one of the best scenes in this entire 8 episodes, because you're right. There are moments where James Gunn is being James Gunn and he inserts an unnecessary joke into things. I get it, but at the same time, not everything needs a joke. Like, again, the whole Cooter thing on the tablet, I get it. It's funny. Ha ha. But at the same time, it's a okay, cool. We didn't need that. There's a lot of
Yeah.
jokes that John Cena makes that are demeaning women that are also like, okay, I get it. You're trying to build him up as like a piece of shit or whatever. That's fine. I understand why those are there. But also, like, we can tone it down a little bit. Like, I don't know. It's I get what you're coming from with the whole
Right.
like sense of
Well,
humor thing.
and I'm not saying he's different from his character in the Suicide Squad. He actually is very well like translated over. He is the same
Yeah,
character.
he's the same character.
And it works really well. But the difference is in the Suicide Squad, they never went as far as they did in Peacemaker, like at all. And actually, I
They
will also say
yeah.
in the Suicide Squad, there were actual moments in that show, in that film, where you could actually sit and breathe and enjoy a dramatic moment. Unlike a lot of moments in the show where there's just random jokes. So it's weird because James Gunn clearly does know that. And he knows where to have a serious moment. He knows where to have a joke. But for whatever reason, in Peacemaker, it's the opposite where you feel like he doesn't. Superman did the same thing where he had a healthy mix of, okay, he does know what he's doing, but then he had a moment, every now and again, like with the floor door opening. They're going to get Clark, and then the dog sitting in the lap. Or at the end, after Superman gives his big monologue and Lex is chewing him out, the dog comes and smacks him against the table, which, again, I'm not saying those all weren't funny. They were funny, but they ruin moments.
Yeah.
Just like Peacemaker. And it's just weird to me because Guardians, it rarely happens. I think Guardians 2 is the only time where it happens way too much. And he took note of that and he pulled it back for Guardians 3. And it was not really there in the first Guardians. And then in Suicide Squad, it really wasn't present all that much, maybe once or twice. But here, it's just all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and I think again there are few moments where you do get to sit with the gravity of the situation. But I don't know. Moving on from that, I
Right.
think that trying to think. There was something I wanted to go with and then I forgot it. But like I said, Vigilante was a character that I right off the bat was so on the fence for. He grew on me so much throughout the course of the show. I think the actor did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen him in anything else that I remember.
No, I don't recall seeing him in
Um
anything else.
yeah. So I don't think that this is probably not his first breakout role, but I think he killed it. Again, so with Peacemaker, he changes, he evolves over the course of the show.
Right.
Vigilante stays the exact same. He does not change whatsoever.
Right.
But that's because we're not following Vigilante's story. He is supposed to stay the same because he's built up to be a crazed lunatic. He's not
Right.
like Peacemaker, who I wouldn't call him sane. He was raised by a generally terrible human being, and that did a lot of mental damage on him, but he's learning to like weigh the consequences of his actions. I actually love another scene that I do feel like did hold the weight behind it is I think it was episode 2 or episode 3 where they're going to actually assassinate the senator,
Yeah.
and he has this whole argument with it's Mayhem, right?
Mayhem. Yeah.
Yeah, this whole argument with Mayhem about how he can't use the sniper rifle because it doesn't have a dove of peace on it.
Or no, not Mayhem.
And
I'm sorry, not Mayhem. Hardcore. Mayhem's from Twisted Metal.
Hardcore, thank you. I don't know why I called her Mayhem. Hardcore. He has this whole argument with Hardcore because it can't kill because it doesn't have a dove of peace on it. And then you think to yourself throughout the course of the show, like, well, he's starting to kill a bunch of other people, and none of these guns have doves of peace on them. Like, what's the problem? And I actually thought that when I was watching. So I love that they do call back to that, and he has that whole mental breakdown with hardcore in the sense of, it's not the dove of peace. It's when she sketches the dove of peace onto the shotgun for him. And he has this whole thing breaking down and being like, it's not the dove of peace. I'm just so sick and tired of killing people. Not just bad people, not just good people, but I'm so sick and tired of it. I don't want to be that person anymore. And I do feel like that scene, you did get to feel the emotion in it. There
That
wasn't
moment
a
worked
joke
really
that was
well.
cut in there. That was another well-acted scene where you really get to feel the impact of the character growth that you've been seeing throughout the course of the show, which ultimately leads to him killing his father, because originally he was still defending his father's actions. He still felt like his father wasn't that bad of a person. He also couldn't forgive himself for the death of his brother, which I still feel like he holds some of that weight with him.
He does,
but at the same time, that's not a weight that you're ever going to completely leave behind. And then we see towards the end of the last episode that he still hasn't forgiven himself even for killing his dad. His dad is now haunting him. Because even if he knows that he was a bad person, that was still the only family that he has left that was blood related, that he put a bullet between his eyes.
Well,
deserved, but
I actually want to give a little credit here, because Robert Patrick, who plays Peacemaker's dad, who plays White Dragon, he's done a lot of things over the years, and I'm gonna say who he is in a film. I don't even know if you've seen this film, but you definitely know who he is based off of photos and whatnot. And you're gonna be surprised that he looks like that now. Robert Patrick was in The Sopranos at one point, but he's most notably, his most iconic role from a long time ago was in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. He plays the T-1000. He's
I have seen that.
The guy in the police uniform who's like the I don't know what he's like, the goo or whatever that actually can like turn into. That's him from a long time ago. Long story short, hold on. Back to what I'm saying. I give props to Robert Patrick here, because similar to roles like Joffrey Baratheon in Game of Thrones and Olivia Soprano on The Sopranos, he's playing a role here that you love to hate, and not in a good way, because he is a despicable piece of shit. And he does. Here's the thing. He does such a good job at it. And I know this actor's a nice guy in real life. It really makes me wonder, when you're in negotiations for this role, how did he get you on board with this?
I was going to say, so
ooh.
I always feel, I don't want to say bad, because obviously they're making money. This is their job. They're actors. I do genuinely feel bad for actors who have to play these types of characters. The ones that are literally doing Nazi, so like, no one wants to do that, obviously. I mean, hopefully you don't want to do that. Hopefully if you're watching this, you don't want to do this. And if you do want to do that, please stop watching us. Fuck you.
Really.
Make that position very clear. Fuck you to hell. I feel so bad for those actors, though. It's the same with like, I don't think it's Inglourious Bastards, but it's the one where, why am I blanking on his name? I'm so tired right now. It's been a long work day.
Inglourious Bastards does have the Nazis in it, but I don't think.
Well, okay, no. So yeah, it's not Inglourious Bastards, but it's when white actors have to say the N-word.
Oh, you're thinking of Django Unchained.
Thank you, Django Unchained. That's the one. It was a Quentin Tarantino film, but it wasn't the correct one.
No, because I know you've seen the interviews for stuff like that, and how uncomfortable like DiCaprio was playing a despicable person who had to say and do some things that's just horrible.
Exactly. Like I always do. Like you can make the whole argument of, oh, they're getting paid. Whatever. Like I do still like, again, even if you know that you're faking it and that's not your true beliefs, like it's still such a like. I don't want to have to sit there and do that. Like, not even like that's so terrible, but it's so necessary to make you hate these characters so much. Because there's not a single moment in this show where there's any moment that you care about Peacemaker's father. Like, I was hoping that when Vigilante went into the prison that he would just kill all of them. Obviously he doesn't, but we do get that later. with Vigilante.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but
Well,
yeah.
and I don't know. I feel bad for Robert Patrick, but also like he does. Like I'm saying I'm giving props because he did the role exactly how it was supposed to be done,
Oh,
and
yeah, absolutely. He did
I
a
just
great
like
job making me
thank you for
hate
doing.
his character's guts so much.
Thank you for doing the role. I'm sorry you had to do the role, but thank you for making the TV show more impactful because you played that role. Somebody had to
Yeah.
do it. I want to talk about one character that I actually didn't like, and not in the same sense as Peacemaker's father, but just one character I didn't connect with at all, and so much so that when their death happened, it was like, oh, okay, you're dead, and that's Myrn. Myrn is
Okay.
an important character in the show because it's revealed about halfway through that he is in fact one of the butterflies that they're hunting down, but is like a somebody who turned against their entire
Yeah,
alien
he's like
race.
the only defector or
He's
whatever.
the only defector. And there's nothing wrong with the actor. The actor played if you didn't realize, it's the same actor who played oh god, the villain in Guardians 3? What's his name?
No, I know. Yeah. High evolutionary. I
High
know. Yeah,
Evolutionary,
I'm
thank you.
aware. Yeah.
It's the same actor. He does a great job, and he does a good job here. He's just not really given much beyond, okay, he's the leader of this group, and that's it. We don't get any time to just development for him. And I get that that's because of the fact that, he is a butterfly. You can't really give him much development because he doesn't have any emotions from the previous life. He doesn't have anything. So I guess you kind of can't, but it leaves this hole in the thing of, okay, we've developed John, we've developed Amelia, we've developed Adebayo, we've developed Vigilante, we've developed Peacemaker. There's one outliner in that group where it's just he shows up, he's the leader, he says something every now and again, and that's it. Amanda
Yeah.
Waller has more development than he does. And Amanda Waller is in the Suicide Squad and just shouts things at people that are mean. And her whole development is that she doesn't change, is that she's just a jerk and will do whatever she wants.
Yeah.
All that to say, his character is easily my least favorite. And again, when his character dies, which is supposed to be an impactful moment because he's sacrificing himself for Harcourt and Adebayo, you don't really care that much. And it's just unfortunate because I do think that that's where the writing and I think more time into the story could have definitely helped this show. Like I was saying earlier, if this show was thought through more, something like that could have played, just better in the end.
Well, and you do have, they only give him really two major character scenes. They have the one scene where they are in the forest and we're kind of introduced to this is before we know that he's a butterfly, and he's kind of having that conversation of, I don't have emotion. I don't feel things. I've never even laughed at a comedy before. I've never gotten scared, but I'm trying to change. And then you see that when he's sitting and watching his TV and he's just sitting there with zero emotion on his face, doesn't have anything, doesn't care. And then you have, I guess, the kind of payoff to that, which is when now we know he's a butterfly and we know that this is the butterfly talking and not the actual person talking,
Yeah.
where he's like, I felt that this person I tried to pick the worst person possible so that no one would miss them. Even though the butterfly is very well aware that he has killed someone in order to take over the body, he still tries to, I guess, validate it and make it feel like it's not that bad because, oh, I tried to pick the worst person. But even that
Yeah.
was difficult because, oh, I felt that this person had the ability or the capability to change. And now he still feels remorse for his actions because he took away this person's opportunity to change. I think that was almost an exact quote, is I took this person's opportunity away from them to become a better person. I do feel like those scenes worked and I liked them, but I do agree that because we only really got, I call it, 3 emotional character focused scenes with him that felt impactful, it removed the level of impactfulness because it
Sure.
was only like 3
Sure.
scenes. And he's in the show for more than 3 scenes, obviously, but
Yeah.
every other scene that he's in, he's with the entire cast, and he feels more like the leader or the scapegoat or whatever role he's playing in the moment. And he's
Yeah.
feeling more like a plot device than an actual character.
Another character, I didn't hate these characters. I thought they served their purpose, but at the end of the day, I thought that both Detective Song and Fitzgibbon, they were okay. And other than Fitzgibbon, they tried to give Fitzgibbon more after Song was taken over by a butterfly. However, that being said, she's just a detective trying to do the right thing. All she was trying to do was like, I get that we have to have a dramatic moment, and I get that, taking over the police department might have been something that was dramatic enough and would have done a pretty good job. I kind of hate the fact that Detective Song is one of the people that's taken over, considering that we spend a good portion of the show with her trying to figure everything out and do this, and it eventually leads all for nothing. Not everything has to be wrapped in a pretty bow, and it would have been okay if she had died or something or whatnot. It still would have been sad, but it would make more sense. I don't like the way she was used as just a vessel, and then they kept her around as a butterfly. Same thing with Fitzgibbons. They actually tried to give Fitzgibbons more because he knew something was wrong with Detective Song and tried to figure that out as well. It's like, but we're dedicating time to this, so I want to expect to get something out of it. But now we're not, because you're just going to completely let it die here. You know what I mean? Do you get what I mean
Well,
by
so I
that?
think I think what you're getting at, and it's kind of what we've already been touching on, so I'll just call it out as it is. This show does kind of suffer from too many character syndrome, in the
Yes.
sense of, not only do we have the main crew, you have Peacemaker, Hardcore, you have that entire crew, then you have the police officers, then you introduce their man on the inside, then you have Peacemaker's father. There's basically like 17 stories going on right now. Not 17,
Yes.
but you have the whole thing with I cannot pronounce her name correctly. It's
Adebayo.
Adebayo, correct? Yeah.
Adebayo.
Adebayo. Adebayo and her wife. You have that plot line. Again, you have the man on the inside storyline. You have the Detective Song storyline. You have the Peacemaker storyline. You have the Peacemaker's father's storyline. You have the Vigilante storyline. There's definitely a lot going on. I do like that we had a reason to feel anything for what happened to the police department, because I feel like if it was necessary to move the plot forward, yes, and it was more used as a plot device than an emotional beat. I still feel like it played its purpose well enough that I wasn't mad about it. I was sad when Detective Song died, because I was like, "Oh, I actually kind of liked the dynamic here. I liked having these characters."
Right.
Was I crying? No. But
No.
I also was like, "Okay, we've killed like so many people. I'm not shocked that these characters are dead, that we've taken over the police department."
Sure.
Like, I don't think you're supposed to cry, but if you are, it didn't serve its purpose, so I can understand.
Yeah, that wasn't the point. I mean, like, I don't know. It's just moments like that where I'm like, okay, you could have thought this through a bit more, and you could have planned it out better, or at least not had so many characters in it that it kind of felt pointless at the end.
Yeah.
Uh I want to talk about, because we're almost at an hour 30. I really want to talk about one moment that I forgot about entirely. And so when it happened again, I was dying laughing for a solid 2 seconds and just had my hands like this, like, oh my god. Was Adebayo and Peacemaker are going in the front door of this building where there's a bunch of butterflies at. And she says, "Look, man, I need you to chill. I need you to relax. We're just going to ask some questions." She walks in. "Hi, how are you?" "Hello, what can we do for..." Boom! Gets a shotgun blast to the face. And it's this old elderly woman. She's just being really nice. And all of a sudden, fucking shotgun blast to the face, drop to the ground. And then they kills like 5 more people. And they get to another
Yep.
door. And she goes, I thought I asked you to be chill. Do I not look chill right now?" Like, he's perfectly calm. And I was dying laughing because it just came out of nowhere. And I literally let
Yeah.
out an audible, "What the fuck?" as this woman's head gets blown off. In the scene gets even funnier because he continues to blow people off in the scene, blow people's heads off in the scene. And then Adebayo comes by with a pistol and just repeatedly shoots them again. Because she
You
doesn't,
don't have to, you don't have to shoot them.
they're already dead. You don't have to shoot them.
Yeah.
Uh, it's moments like that where I'm like, that's really funny. That's clever humor. I enjoy that. That's the
Yeah.
James Gunn humor I like, where it's just like it's simple, it's harmless, it's fun. And again, not saying that the other jokes don't land. I think honestly, every joke in the show actually does land. It's just a matter of does it go too far or not, or is it something that
Yeah.
I genuinely want to sit through again? Because you know, talking about going back to it, the rewatchability of this show is really really hard, purely for moments like that. And I don't know, I
Yeah.
might be the only one who says that. I might not be, but that's kind of where I feel, or that's where I
Mhm.
stand. That's how I feel, and that's why it took me so long to rewatch the show. I rewatched this week to week when the show came out because I was so excited for it. Loved it. I've years after still talk about. Oh yeah, it was a lot of fun. I can't recommend this to everybody. I can't, because this is not everybody's cup of tea. I would say the same thing about the Suicide Squad though too. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I couldn't recommend that, and that's the issue that this show also does have, is it's not for everybody because of how far it goes.
Well,
Um,
and I will say, I do think that the best episode, and I think it was episode 5 or 6, I think it was episode 6, was when they invaded the, because that also has my favorite moment, and it is the most absurd moment in the entire show, but we build
oh
up to it, and I knew that they were gonna have to pay it off somehow, I just didn't know how, but you have the whole joke with Vigilante and the chainsaw
yes,
on when they're still on the I'll call it an ice cream truck. I don't know. A box truck. That's the word for it. When they're
sure.
still on the box truck, Vigilante revs up the chainsaw. They play it for laughs, and you're like, okay, they spent so long on this scene. There's no way we're not going to get a payoff for it. So for the payoff to be economy coming in and ripping a gorilla in half with a chainsaw to save Peacemaker, look, is it silly? Is it ridiculous? Yes. Was I elated watching a gorilla get cut in half by a chainsaw by economy of all people? Absolutely, I was. It
So
was
good.
golden.
Talking about other scenes that were funny, just pure comedy. How about the cold open that kind of pays off the janitor, where it's like, "Hey, I did some stuff for you while you were in the hospital. Help me out here by showing up to my daughter's show and tell, or what is it? Uh,
It was a show and tell, I think,
Show and
or
tell kind of.
whatever.
It's like,
Yeah.
here's Mr. Peacemaker. He's a real superhero. Let's ask some questions. And do you know Becky Coolidge? Becky Coolidge. Oh yeah, I haven't seen her in like 10 years. I think you might be my real dad. It's the look on his
So
face.
I'll be honest. That joke was hilarious. I did love that joke. I hated that scene.
Oh sure.
Um,
Oh
I
sure.
get that they were trying to pay off the whole janitor thing from earlier, but the way that they cut it in so unceremoniously, it felt like a reshoot that they copy pasted in later on. Like it happened at such a random moment in time. There was zero setup to it. It was literally the most standoff scene ever because it doesn't build to anything. It's just to pay off the one janitor scene that I would not have cared if we never returned to.
Right.
So I get it. There were some funny jokes in there, but the way, if they would have built up to it with Peacemaker getting a phone call maybe or anything, no, we just all of a sudden we're cutting to a elementary school and
Right.
Peacemaker's there. You have no context for why he's there. You have 5 minutes in this elementary school, and then they cut to the janitor
Well, and it's
basically, and
also
you're like,
it's also,
okay,
yeah, it's also not like this scene adds anything to the overall plot too. It's just there for comedy, which again, that's
yeah.
fine. I'm okay with that. But at that point, you also sit and go, okay, what was the okay? Again, rewatchability. It hurts the rewatchability factor.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna. Well, I literally just finished a few hours ago watching this season of Peacemaker, so obviously I'm not inclined to watch it again anytime soon. As much as I enjoyed it, don't think I think you're right. I think the rewatchability is low. I think once you get past all the big reveals and the emotional beats, it is still an enjoyable experience, but it's not gonna be the top of your DCU ranking. I think the thing that I am the most curious about, that how they're going to pay it off, is going to be the I guess, again, it's the relationship between all of the characters, but specifically the payoff between Peacemaker and Hardcore's relationship. Because we start off with Peacemaker confronting her in the bar, making her very uncomfortable, and then you end it with them holding hands in the hospital. Now,
Yeah.
I don't know if they're gonna like date or anything like that, but I am very intrigued to see specifically that relationship, and how that pays off, because he's still not a good person. She even still
No.
says, like, now I only think you're 85% a bad, like a terrible person, or
Right.
whatever she says.
Right.
Like, I don't know. That is a relationship that I am excited to see where they go with. But again, that could very easily be ruined by the whole multiverse thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, look, there's a lot of questions I have going into season 2. There's a lot of hype that I have for the show. Again, let me say this as a part of like some of my final thoughts here. I don't hate the show. I thoroughly enjoyed the show. I thought it was a great rewatch for me. Um, I think that there's a lot of humor to be had. Most every joke does land, even if it goes over the top. The dramatic moments are there, and when they actually work, they are pretty good. And as a superhero show in and of itself, it still is one of the better superhero shows, or anti-hero shows. I don't know if you want to call this a superhero show, even though technically I think season 2 will be a superhero show.
Yeah.
It is one of the better ones. I think that there's a lot to love, but there's also a lot that you just kind of like, I don't really know. I don't really care about that. Or I don't really like that as much. It's just some things where it's like, I wish they could have nailed that out in the writer's room. But knowing that this was never the plan and they were originally never going to make this show, I can completely understand why this ended up this way, and why season
Yeah.
2 will probably be slightly more consistent and better in regards to what type of a plan they do have. So I probably will
Well,
rewatch this again at some point, but as of right now, I like it.
and I think here's the other problem that I have with this. They built this up to be a very, like, I have two more things before I give my, I mean, I kind
Please.
of already gave my final thoughts, but I have two more things I want to touch on, just to talk about them. The whole, like, world-ending threat nature of this, with the, oh, everyone's been in, I think that's a very difficult thing to add weight to when you only have 8 episodes. You really don't feel the weight of this being world-ending, especially because here's the thing. Yes, this is gonna be sound like a nitpick, but it is a genuine problem that I have with the plot of this show. The big thing with this is that the entire world is infected by butterflies. The reason this has to be Black Ops is because every time it gets brought up, it gets buried by some high up official because they've been infected by a butterfly.
Right.
So, the way that we have to solve the butterfly problem is we have to kill the cow that is supplying the food, the only sustenance that these butterflies can live off of. We're not killing every butterfly. There's still probably millions of butterflies out there. But
But
we are removing their food source, at
sure.
least stopping their production. The reason why I bring that up is because there's still a lot of food. Like, we saw the thousands of boxes of food. They're still infecting, unless the argument that, and maybe this is how James Gunn retconned it, and if he does, I don't really like it. But in that scene where we have all the butterflies coming in to move the cow, and we see probably thousands of butterflies coming in, if the whole argument that that's all of the butterflies coming together and leaving their hosts, okay, fine. Yeah, maybe we've killed all the butterflies. But if that's not the case, there's still a lot of food out there and still a lot of butterflies. Like, you haven't solved. yes, they're going to die eventually. But like, I don't know. The reason I bring that up is because I do feel like that whole aspect of the plot felt, I don't want to call it rushed or just kind of thought glossed over a little bit. I wasn't the biggest fan of the way that they decided to wrap up the entire plot of the show. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
No, it just feeds back into they needed to take more time to flesh the story out to be more consistent. That's it.
Yeah. And then my other thing, what were your thoughts on Judo Master?
It was fine. Judo Master was fine. I thought that there were some moments where he got some laughs. I look, he's going to be in season 2. Okay, I don't hate him, don't love him. There wasn't anything like he was just a force in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way to say he was the villain of the week, just to keep the story trucking along. So okay, they try again. When I say the story was kind of fleshed out and they need more time to flesh out, Judo Master is another prime example of they tried to give him something where it's like, oh well, we told Judo Master our real reason. That's why he's helping us. That's why he's not a butterfly and he's genuinely trying to help us. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
great. Why couldn't we have fleshed this out earlier then?
Yeah.
It just all cycles back into that. And again, I don't hate this show. I thought what they gave was okay and was fine. It just, I know it could have been better because I've seen James Gunn at his best and I've seen it when he delivers. So,
Yeah. Well, so the reason why I bring up Judo Master is because I think he's an exceptional concept for a counter to Peacemaker.
mm,
John Cena is a hulking human being. I mean, we get shots of him where his veins are from steroid use, but his veins are popping and his muscles are just gleaming in the sunlight. And you can see how big and bulky and hulking of a man he is. So if you're trying to put a comedic villain up against him, you put a small person. You put someone who's very small, who is an exceptional fighter, who can counter Peacemaker while also playing it off for an element of comedy. I did
yeah,
like that aspect. I do think that as a concept and in the actual execution of it, he was a good villain. What I didn't like is James Gunn says that he has a cardinal rule of not killing characters. Okay, cool. You literally shot Judo Master in the chest and he literally walks it off like it was nothing. This is a regular ass human being who is just good at fighting. There is no reason who should be able to survive that bullet whatsoever.
right.
So if you want to make that whole card, like I have a cardinal rule of not bringing back characters I killed, why is he back? Why did you literally? Okay, you want to make the argument after being beat up and all of these, like yes, he can survive all of that. He is a trained fighter. He can probably recover quickly. I don't care how trained you are. You got shot in the chest with a bullet, and then we're fighting like you weren't affected by it 5 minutes later. I hated that. It felt like James Gunn was like, yeah, that cardinal rule I have doesn't matter with Judo Master because we need a comedic villain here. Like that just didn't work for me.
Right. No, I again, I'm like a broken clock when I say it. So say it with me. Think through the story more and flesh it out before you get there. I
Yeah, like I no, sorry, you can finish your thought,
No,
but
I get that's all I was gonna say. Is just that's the biggest problem the show has. And again, not saying it can't be good. It's still good. It is not as great. It's good, not great. And I know it could have been great considering I've seen James Gunn at his best.
well, then that's why I hope that season 2 is great, but again, you're kind of running into what a lot of people had problems with Spider, and again, I'm talking before we see it, but you're taking a, for lack of a better term, regular ass person, a street level hero, and seemingly throwing him into the multiverse. I don't love that. Granted, all of his villains have been aliens, and you have a giant starfish and butterfly aliens. So it's not like Peacemaker is fighting off regular dudes, but I'm just not. I am excited to see these characters again. I'm excited to see John Cena be John Cena again as Peacemaker, because again, this is probably the most fun he's ever had with a role. He has said many times in interviews that this is his favorite role. And I can see that. I can feel that. I am excited to see Economy again in Hardcore and in this cast of characters, because I did connect with these characters, especially I'm excited to see Vigilante again. That being said, I hope that they put a little bit more time into making the story a little bit more cohesive, flow a little better. Maybe please remove some of those unnecessary comedic jokes that took away from the emotion that you tried to have in season 1. I'm very curious to see where they go, knowing that Peacemaker's dad's going to come back. Yeah, that's kind of where I sit with it. Like I'm excited for season 2, but I'm apprehensively excited.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see where that takes us. That leads us into next week. I know we already said it. I'm going to repeat it. We got the last few episodes of Twisted Metal season 2, and then the first few episodes of Peacemaker season 2 next week. So make sure you check that out. It's going to be really exciting. I'm excited to watch it. Brandon's going to give us some live reports from Anime NYC this week and weekend. I'm going to give you some live reports from my couch. But it's going to be one hell of a time next week. So make sure you join us for that. Any thoughts before I wrap this up?
Yeah, this week's episode was a little bit shorter, but kind of needs to be, because I need to get to sleep and finish packing, because I'm not done packing. But next week's episode, I do anticipate probably being a little longer, because we'll have 7 episodes of television to talk about. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Anime NYC. But yeah, other than that, take us out.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast. If you like what you heard, you like what you saw, give us a like, give us a follow. We'd really appreciate it. You can find us on all streaming platforms, Amazon Music, Spotify, Apple Podcast, everywhere. I promise you we're on it. You can find us on all social media. I was blanking on what it's called. I almost said streaming platforms again, but I already said that. You can find us on all social. You can find us on all social media platforms at Nerdy Nimrods. And ladies and gentlemen, Brandon, would you like to say it with me? As always,
just say it.
You did it to me last week. I wanted to do it now. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, stay nerdy.